Hey guys, Jordon at VapinUSA here. We're going to go over some RDAs rebuilding. It's kind of an intro tutorial. So we'll start with what is an RDA. An RDA is a rebuildable dripping atomizer. And what that kind of means is you're going to be dripping your liquid directly on your atomizer. So this is your deck, your well where your coils are going to go, where you're going to put your coils and your cotton to hold your liquid. So if you see, you have 3 posts. The positive post is in the center with 2 negatives on the outer sides. And if you see very closely, there is no holes in the posts. So generally for this company, they expect you to take the tails of your Kanthal, which I'll show you, and you'll wrap them around the tops of the screws there. But we'll dive down into that in a bit. We've got the top cap for it. It's got pre-drilled holes in there on both sides, meant for a dual coil. And then your drip tip, which all of you probably know which one of these are if you vape. For tools, what do I use to rebuild? See here, I've got a nice pair of needle nose pliers, a pair of wire snippers, a nice pair of tweezers, got a scissors. I'm going to be using 26 gauge Kanthal today, and my 1.5 mil screwdriver. This is pretty much what I use all the time. Doesn't matter 24 gauge, 28 gauge, I just like this size for some reason. And I do have a organic, it is boiled cotton ball, and the reason why you boil them is you just want to get anything that shouldn't be in there, as of if there was dyes or say bleach, anything, it doesn't matter, we want to get that out of there. We vape to be safer, so let's try to just be safe. But let's go ahead and start building this thing. So go ahead, and I just like to put the addy on my ohm meter, kind of keeps it secure. For your Kanthal, cut off about 6 inches, make it 8 inches. Around there. We're just doing a single coil today, guys. So, got my Kanthal. Now, some people like to torch the Kanthal to remove some of the springiness from the Kanthal. It basically just makes it easier to work with. For this one, I am not. I'm going to torch it after I have it all set in stone, put on top of my mod here. So, I've got my 6 to 8 inches here. Got my 1.5 mil screwdriver. I'm going to go ahead and leave a little tail. If you see that, leave a little bit extra, because that's going to have to go around the post. So what I like to do, put my finger on the end to hold some tension on it, and go ahead and start your first wrap. You don't want to let that tension off. The first wrap is definitely the hardest, just to make sure that you have them touching, they're nice and even. So there's one. Second one. And 4. We're going to do 12 wraps on this. 4. Alright. Get that one there. We've got 5 wraps right now. There's 6, 7, 8, 9. Guys, you don't want this Kanthal overlapping. You want it just touching the next piece of Kanthal next to it. So we're at 11 here. I'm going to go ahead and straighten that lead out. You see how that one kind of comes off to the side there. We're going to actually back that one off. So kind of hold your Kanthal, back it off, and we're going to try to tighten it up. So grab the lead, hold the coil, and just kind of wiggle it. It's going to tighten that wire up on there. So we're at 11 wraps. I'm going to go ahead and throw in another one right here to make that 12 wraps total. And you want to make sure these leads are, fairly straight so it's easier to put in your addy. And there we are. So the easiest way I find to insert these, because this deck does not have post holes, you're going to have to trap these leads here, both these leads, around the screws. So what I like to do, I will pinch the leads, and slide it right between the two posts like this. You just kind of slide it in there very easily. Right there you go. Put your screwdriver back inside the coil. Get it here. Kind of just gives you more leverage, holds it a little more stable. And then we're going to take these leads and we're going to wrap them around the posts, the screws on top. And I like to grab the ends of the wire and just kind of pull them tight. So again, like the last, we're going to pull the lead, kind of tighten it up. Alright, there we are. Okay guys, so you can go ahead and just snug these connections, just tighten them very loose, not too much. Alright, so we're just going to reposition it, so go ahead and put your screwdriver back in one more time, and just kind of prop this coil up a little bit. Kind of pull it out. You want to make sure that Kanthal is nice and tight. You don't want to be overlapping or anything, so I'm just kind of tugging on it. That looks good right there. So that's perfect. Now we're going to go ahead and we can snip the ends of this. Just like that. I'm actually going to try to get them close as you possibly can. Just like that. There's no tails on there. And so I mentioned the torch before. Some people like to torch it. What I'm going to do for this one, I'm going to go ahead and put this on top of my mod, and I'm just going to go ahead and pulse fire it. Alright, so. See how it's not really glowing evenly? Go ahead and heat it up, kind of get it nice and hot. This is torching. It'll hold its position better once we do this, and then we can pinch it with our pliers. So it's cooled off. Go ahead and put your screwdriver back on the inside. And just like we did before, I'm going to go ahead and pull this. Now I see this, the leg on this negative post is just a little too long, so I'm going to kind of back it off and just kind of pull it a little more snug on there. Oh, sometimes they just don't want to work with you. There we go, I got the lead, got it pulling it tight. Go ahead and re-wrap it around that screw. nice and snug in there. You can go ahead and tighten that one back down again. Position them another time, just kind of give it a little, so that center post again loosen, just because we've been messing with the coil. It's going to fall loose every little bit. So now we have that done. Go ahead and take the screwdriver out again, and we're going to pulse fire it. So we shortened up the tail, starting to fire a lot more consistent from the center outward, but you want it to be pretty much completely even from the center outward, so it doesn't look like it's quite there yet. So what we're going to do, just going to grab a pair of pliers, kind of pulse it a little bit, get a little warm. You're going to go ahead and just squeeze them very lightly. Don't squeeze your coil too hard. You don't want your wires to overlap or anything. And from the center outward, that looks pretty darn good. So there we are. That is all done. Let's go ahead and just snip the little bit extra that I've kind of fixed. And let's test the resistance, and we'll put some cotton in it. So the resistance looks like it's 0.9, right under 1 ohm, perfect. The batteries we're going to use today are going to be the Samsung 3400 milliamp. These batteries handle down to about 0.75 safely, and so therefore, 0.9 is definitely in the good area. Now, if you're running very, very low ohm builds, we do recommend that you buy the Sony VTC4. They're 30 amp batteries. If you're planning on running below that, now to the cotton. So, every cotton ball has an end and has a start to it. It's kind of hard to find it, but once you do, it's really easy to roll them outward. Now, I found this the best way. Instead of picking and peeling off this cotton ball, kind of push that center in. And kind of push it out here and be able to find the end of this cotton ball. So I'm finding it right here, and basically you can just roll this thing right out. Just like that. And the end's always a little bunched up, just like that. So I basically get rid of it. So we've got this nice flat strip of cotton here. What we're going to do is rip off about, let's say about 1/4 of it. Just right from the side there. And looks a little fat still. Taking some off. Take all this fuzzy stuff off. And what I like to do is I'm going to roll one end, just kind of twist it up. This is the end I'm going to insert through the coil. And then I'm going to kind of even it out. I'm going to kind of pull it apart a little bit because you don't want it to be compact in areas. It's not going to wick the liquid right way. So kind of pulling it apart very slowly. What I like to do is kind of lightly roll it on the table. I find that makes it look nice and even. You get a real even wick out of it. So once you have that, I mean that area right there looks perfect. We're going to go ahead and enter in that spun end through your coil from the open end first. So once you feed that through, kind of spin this around for you. Start getting it fed through. Shouldn't pull through too easily. Right now it's kind of slides way easy, and it shouldn't pull through too hard like right now when it bunches up. So what you have to do, back it out a little bit, and you gotta thin it a little bit more. And now one thing I find that helps, you grab one end and give it a little twist and hold the other, and it should pull right through, but there's a little knot here, and just pull that off. Just get rid of it. Start to pull it through again. much easier. Alright guys, I like this spot right here. It's got a little resistance to it. It doesn't pull through too hard. Doesn't pull through too easy. It just needs a little resistance. So I like that right there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull a little bit this way, and there we are. That's your cotton's all the way done now. All you have to do is tuck it and you're good. So we have the more open part of the deck here. I save that one for last. I'm going to use this one first, and what I do is I'll hook it around just like that and just kind of puff it underneath the coil. You don't want to pack it too tight or you're going to choke the coil. It's just not going to vape right. You're going to get really harsh hits. So very lightly pack it under there. Go ahead and snip off the excess. And we'll take this one then and do the same as we did to the other. Wrap it around. Kind of pack it under the coil, not too tightly though. And go ahead and snip the excess off there. And then there we are. All you have to do is just kind of tuck in that extra cotton that's kind of laying out. Just like that. We can go ahead. Got some Papa Smurf here. We can juice it up. Really got to saturate this thing. Tons of liquid on it. There we are, guys. Go ahead and remove it from the ohm reader. You can throw it on top of the battery here, on top of your mod. Using the Panzer MCV with the Trident on top now. And give it a test fire. Pretty good vape. She vapes pretty hard too. And throw the cap on. What you got to do for your airflows is you want to point the hole, which is on your cap, towards the coil. You kind of have to fuel the fire with air. If you don't, it's just not going to produce as well. The flavor will get muted, or you'll get really throaty hits. So, you know, if it's not vaping right, but it was vaping 10 minutes ago, really good. Try just adjusting your airflow, and that might help you. But let's see how she vapes. For me, guys, these airflow holes are a little constricting, which most people won't mind, but for me, I like more of an open airflow. So, you know, people always drill them out or do whatever you have to do to get more airflow, but you get awesome flavor and great vapor production. So, thanks for watching, guys.